midday, and I'm delighted to say I am joined in studio by Mr. Collie McFadden. He's here to talk all things movies. It seems like a long time since you've been here, my friend.
Does it feel like the first time?
You say we're gonna make a DJ out of you. Yes.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking he has to go for this point, and it has been a while because I don't know if the official radar figures and all that stuff is out, but I believe you've had one significant added listener anyway since I talked to you.
I hope so.
Yeah, since I talked to you last. Hope he's not tuned into something else anyway.
Yeah.
So congratulations,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been a while, although. As it happens, I think our timing has worked out well because we've a really interesting August to talk about. July was full of big blockbusters and you managed to catch up with one of them, and then we've really odd, interesting movies to talk about in August. Yeah. The big mega tentpole blockbusters came out in July. Now we've some really interesting ones. But first.
Yeah.
You did get to go to the cinema.
I did. I got a little trip out.
Yeah.
I did. I got a little trip out for 2 hours.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it. That'll be the last one for a while.
Exactly. So I've been told.
Yeah.
In no uncertain terms.
So the last time we were on, we were talking about Twisters, among other things. And one of the things, you had a bit of a year of being burnt by movies, didn't you? There was a couple of sequels that you were going, as a man who loves his 80s stuff, 80s and early 90s stuff, you're kind of going, really excited about Ghostbusters, a couple of others. And then I remember saying to you, just as we were finishing up the last day, Twisters, and you just kind of made a face going, hope, but I don't have a lot of hope. And I was going, I've got a good vibe. And you kind of looked at me going, Collie, tut. But you went to see it, and?
I did. And... yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It wasn't what I was expecting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really a sequel, is it?
It's not really a sequel, and that's sort of what sort of caught me off guard.
Yeah.
The first act or the first 10, 15 minutes, there's a little nod to the original.
Yeah. A couple of phrases as well.
But once the first act is done, or that is it the epilogue?
Yeah.
The epilogue. That's it. They move on, and it's its own thing. It's its own story. I enjoyed it.
And it is just what you're hoping for. And it was probably more, your daughter went with you, and it was probably more for her than you in some ways. But it is, in the spirit of Twisters, it's just a good, silly, dumb popcorn effects movie, isn't it? It is a disaster movie. Yeah. They don't worry too much about the story. The story is, let's go chase tornadoes, really, isn't it?
And it's bonkers. It is bonkers. Do you know what I mean? But no, it's enjoyable. It is enjoyable. And I'm thinking back to, when they, 15, 20 years later, they came out with a sequel to Independence Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was out at the same time as Twisters.
Yeah.
And I remember going,
it's awful.
Oh, God.
It was actually insulting to the other.
Yeah.
I don't usually believe.
Were they trying to make it this bad? Because that took a lot of effort to make it.
And I think I usually would say it never spoils the first one, but that kind of almost did spoil. I don't really want to watch the other one again. Yeah. Whereas they just, this Twisters one, they kind of just say, look, people were investigating tornadoes 30 years ago. They'd still be investigating them now, except the technology has improved.
The only thing I would say, it probably doesn't carry the same whack nowadays as it did. Well,
we've never seen effects like it. Do you remember the cow in the first one?
Exactly.
Whereas now kids have seen that in computer games and so on, so they ramp up the tension in other ways.
They've seen it. You think back to 1996, where you had all these amazing special effects, and they were going to be able to show tornadoes up close. Whereas now, if you're scrolling through TikTok or YouTube, you can see the real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And funny enough, I think that's why some of the really successful movies have gone back to sort of physical stuff. Yeah. They're doing more physical stunts because they go, well, everyone has seen this stuff now. As you said, you have people on TikTok standing in front of a tornado. Yeah. So how do you get it another way? And I suppose the answer to that was get some very attractive people to stand around telling you about it.
And incorporate that element of it into the story as well.
And they do.
That was a nice touch as well. The only thing I would say is missing from it is a good score. A good musical score in the background. And I think that's missing from a lot of movies nowadays. If you think back to, the movies of the 80s and the 90s and all those amazing themes from John Williams and Hans Zimmer and Alan Silvestri, all those big composers. Can you think of a movie in the last 10 years that you can remember the score?
Probably not one that doesn't have again, it's throwback to a previous movie.
Recognizable.
Yeah, well, in some ways I was going to say Dune, but that doesn't have a score. It has noises.
Yeah.
But it was so surprising to just have that. Yeah. But you're not wrong. But
because Twister had a great score.
Yeah, it did. And but I'm glad that you had a little bit uptake, because we're going to talk about another 80s sequel again later. Hopefully we're on the up, Rory.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to take a very quick commercial break. We are going to talk about Kneecap. You're very excited about this one.
On Sketamini.
We're going to talk about it right after this, whatever that means.
Are you looking for a change in career? iMotors are recruiting for a parts advisor role, an exciting, fast-paced role within the motor industry. We are looking...
Rory, Farrell, Saturday morning, going back in time. Highland Radio.
All right, it is 11 minutes to midday. Collie McFadden is in studio with me. We are talking all things movies. Now, Fassbender's back on the big screen. This one you are really excited about.
I was really excited about it. So, the band Kneecap, once they announced they were doing a movie, I thought, this is going to be a documentary about how these lads from Belfast are doing Irish rock. And then I went, Michael Fassbender's in it. And then you realise it's a fictional story. Now, true story, I got invited to the critics premiere of this quite a few in January, but I was getting my hip replaced, so I couldn't go, and I was devastated and thought I wouldn't be able to get to see it. And then I knew I was coming up to see you today, and they have a big following around here in the Northwest. For example, one of their songs is about dealing so you can go on holidays in Falcarra, so they have a lot of local ties, right? So I emailed the company Wildcard. It's an Irish distribution company. And I emailed them and said, look, I'm going on with Rory to talk about it. Is there any chance of an advance copy? And lo and behold, they sent me one yesterday. Fair play them. And I watched this at 8 a.m. This is not a film that is meant to be watched at 8 a.m.
I was just going to say that.
However, I had the greatest time. And the only thing I can compare it to is when I was about 19 years old and I saw Trainspotting for the first time and went, oh my God, I've never seen a movie like this before. Yeah. I didn't know things could do like this. And you even said off air, is it like Trainspotting meets The Commitments? And I went, that's the line I wish I thought of, because it is the most Irish version of this movie. I've never seen anything like it. The lads are speaking Irish all the time. They rap in Irish and English, but there are English subtitles. Although I'd say when it shows in America, it'll have English subtitles for the English as well.
Okay.
In the same way, The Commitments, it already won an award at the Sundance Film Festival. This is a proper film, but it's hilariously funny, and it's kind of the fictional story of how they got together with a lot of truth in it. Their DJ was a music teacher who was fired for being in this fairly outrageous band, right?
Okay.
And it was revealed. One of the lads has a song about dating a loyalist girl and how that goes down with such a band with such a Republican tradition. They've a lot of their stuff about learning Irish and living a wild life. And I've never seen anything like it. Like, I love when we've local Irish movies, and we've had stories about, deprivation, and we've had stories about troubles in the north, and we've had lots of beautiful Irish language stories, but I've never seen anything but it all together. And this is a story saying, for these lads, the troubles are a long time ago. They're still dealing with the scars of the troubles. But these lads, all they want to do is have a good time. If you've ever seen Good Vibrations, it could be almost a follow-up of the next generation of this. These lads going, lads, we're interested in history and culture, and they're interested in Irish, but not as an anti-British thing, although there were lots of jokes about that. It is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. It is shocking. I felt like such an owl fella, and I've seen them in concert and everything. But I was also saying to you, when I saw them in concert, there was a load of dubs all chanting along, not only in Irish, in Donegal Irish, because they're from Belfast, so they speak Ulster Irish. In Donegal Irish, all these dubs chanting along going, I never thought I'd see that in Dublin. They are a brilliant band. They won't be for everyone, and it is shocking. And there's some people are going to be outraged when they hear the plot of the story. You can tell I'm really dancing around the plot, because I know I said something to you off air. I know what time of the morning, but it is, and like, there's been a lot of talk about Deadpool, and here in the cinema I work in, we had a lot of people turning up for Deadpool going, no, he's seen all the others, and I'll go in with him and going, he's 7, he can't go and see it. But in its own way, this is far more shocking because there's more realism in it. The music is brilliant. Please don't listen to it when the kids are in the car, Rory. But I know you haven't really heard them. I'm going to send you a playlist when I'm finished. It's really interesting. And one of the things is, I thought when I first heard of the band, I thought this is a novelty act. It's a gimmick. Speaking Irish and swearing and stuff in Irish is just a novelty act. And I heard the music and went, oh, they're really good. And then I heard about the movie and I went, it's a novelty movie. And now I've seen the movie. It's not. It's gonna be the Irish entry for the Oscars this year for foreign language. Whether it gets through or not, I don't know. But the lads turning up in their tracksuits and their tricolour balaclava at the Oscars, come on. Who doesn't want to see that?
This is going to be knocking around for the rest of the summer.
It's going to be around for the summer, and they're playing in Letterkenny in a couple of weeks. So the week after it actually opens. So I think they're going to have even more fans there.
Brilliant.
It's amazing.
So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. That's Kneecap. That is...
it's out next Thursday.
Next Thursday. All right. Okay. Moving on. Let's go back. Another sequel. Yeah. Another sequel to... a classic.
A classic. And another movie, kind of like... I was thinking about like Terminator is a perfect example. That there was two great ones. And then... not so great ones. I know you're a big Alien 3 fan, right? But even still, you would say it is a drop after the first two, and it's more what could have been. And I quite like the fourth one too. But there's kind of, it's not a reboot. They're going back and they're trying to make what made the original special.
So this takes place between the first and the second.
And the second.
It takes place between Alien and
Aliens.
Yeah.
And I think they've got a director who his history is in horror movies.
Yeah.
And like the first one was a horror movie. The second one was more of an action movie, really.
Combat movie.
Yeah. And it was more like Hamburger Hill or Platoon, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas the first one was very much there's a beastie on the ship, and this is much more like, and there's a lovely vibe around it because they just had it at Comic-Con, and all the buzz is that they've kind of gone back to what made the other one the first one's brilliant, and not they played with it maybe a bit too much, bringing in Predator and all that sort of, and it just became a gimmick. It became about the aliens, not about the people. And I think they're trying to go back that it's about the people in it. And there's obviously no Sigourney Weaver in this one, as far as we know. But
that's very true.
There could be a cameo there, but it looks really interesting, and I really want it to be good because I remember we were talking earlier about seeing Trainspotting. One of the first big videos I managed to get by myself, that the woman behind the video counter said, "Yeah, okay, you're old enough to have it," was Aliens, and I was so excited because I could not see it in the cinema, and it was like a year afterwards. And watching that, and I remember watching that, and my sister came home and she was on a date with the man who's now her husband. And they wanted you in the front room, and I was halfway through Aliens, and I was sent to bed, and I was so annoyed, and I've never quite got over it. I think that's the first time I've mentioned it on national radio, but I had to get up the next morning and watch the rest of it. But it's such a brilliant movie. I must have watched it 100 times.
Okay.
Genuinely. And I'm
it was one of those rare lightning in a bottle things where the sequel was perceived to be better than the original.
Yeah, that and Terminator. James Cameron did both. And in the same way you are for Ghostbusters, Alien would have been a bit like for me, and I kind of fell away from it. And I haven't even seen all of the Predator ones and Alien Covenant and stuff. I just got bored. And I thought they lost with it. So I'm really hoping this will be good. This is
sort of going back to basics. And this was originally supposed to be released on Disney Plus.
That's right.
And then now they decided to give it a full theatrical release.
There's a few movies like that have been, when they realise, we've got something good there, it really hasn't let us down, that they kind of went, we've got something special here. And now I think they're also starting to realise that the streaming system doesn't work for everything, and they may have relied on it. And they're kind of going back. Look at the big successes of Inside Out 2 as well. Huge. It's been huge, and because it's great. But also, it shows you people do want to go to the cinema given the right material. So hopefully Alien Romulus is the right material.
Okay, so that's out August 16th.
Yeah, August 16th. Yeah, really look forward to that.
Okay. All right, very, very quickly, we have about a minute left. All right, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine, it's doing great business. As I said, it's very much 60s. I think it's really enjoyable. I'm not sure it's a great movie. It's more like a Mickey take. It's like the Airplane of the Marvel universe.
Almost parodying itself.
Yeah, it's like a load of end stuff. I really enjoyed it, and it's been a huge hit, much bigger than people expected. It'd be interesting to see where they go from here, though, because they let them make the Mickey out of it so much. But I think they announced the Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Dr. Doom.
That's right,
just at the right time, when the hype's up again, because there was such a bad feeling about the Marvel universe, and now people are hyped up about it again, and I think it's going to be really big. And a quick mention as well, just next week, it ends with us. Colleen Hoover, I'd never heard of her. She's the best-selling author in the world, and there's loads of people out there going, what? They're making a movie of this? It's going to be really huge. So you and I know our Alien universe and the Terminators and Marvel. There's loads of people there in the Hooververse. I don't know what it's called, but all of her books, they're huge bestsellers, and that movie's coming out, and we've had so many pre-bookings for it. People are really interested. And for something I hadn't actually heard of, in the same way you and Kneecap, this one, so I want to give a mention for that. I think that's going to be a big sleeper hit. Yeah,
worth keeping an eye on, and we'll talk about it in more detail next
time.
All right, Collie, thanks so much for joining us. That's where we wrap things up for this morning's programme. Thanks to everyone who got in touch with the show with the requests, dedications, suggestions for music. Big thanks to Katie and Roisin for their help on the programme as well. I'll be back next Saturday morning. We'll rewind all over again. We'll talk to you